being Danish, living in Bergen, apparently met the requirement for being international enough for being here today and speaking English, so thank you for that. So Ryan, he already laid out a lot of the groundworks of shaping, gave you some unique techniques and insight. What I'm here to talk about is how we brought some of those ideas to life at Bulder. I'll show you what worked, what didn't, and most importantly, what are some of the lessons that we learned that you can take home today and start trying out Shape Up in your organization. And you might be asking, why Shape Up? There are so many agile frameworks that looks more or less the same, right? And I agree. It's just a really good way of giving yourself some kind of constraints, giving yourself some structures, a common way of talking together as a team or organization. So we needed that in Bulder because we were focusing a lot of our energy in all different directions. A lot of great developers, UX designers, and product people, but we were working a little bit in each direction, right? We need some kind of shared path, one direction of travel, and a way to address and to speak about that. So before diving into this, I'll just give you a really brief, what is Bulder, for if you don't know that. So Bulder launched 5 years ago. We tend to think ourselves that we want to create banking experience a little bit out of the ordinary. We want to be seen as different. We cultivate this differentness really openly in Bulder. And we need that to stick out in a pretty dull banking market, if that's okay to say. And then when we created Bulder 5 years ago, we were like, what should Bulder be for whom, right? And in order to not go about it as the 149 other banks in Norway, we thought about, let's try to position ourselves a little bit differently from the rest of the banks, right? And this, maybe you know this, but this is a framework called Needscope. And this is a way to emotionally connect with your users on a different level, right? So we found out that, that there was a free market, a free segment in the red segment. So we just immediately stole that. And our users in the red segment, they want to feel ahead. They want to feel bold, dynamic, and feel like that speed and presence, right? So what we did was we built a brand, we built a presence around being ahead for the users, and it looks more or less something like this. And we were having fun, hitting our growth targets in 2021, and the team was flying high like this. But then something happened. We started to not ship a thing. We were not living up to that red segment of being one step ahead. And we have just been rewriting biometric projects and doing nothing really meaningful for quite a long time. What the fuck happened? I mean, we were on a good roll. And we often talk to this as the speedboat metaphor, from being a small, maneuverable boat, just really being able to take those turns and in the water really fast. Something's happened. We had embarked on a bigger boat, a more kind of a cargo boat, weighed down by processes, more people on board. And I think I know why, because this is Bulder 2020. This is the number of people working in Bulder. We were not that many. We were about 12 people. And then 2 years later, it looked something like this. So imagine growing from 12 to around 50 people. And that could work, right? Nothing wrong with that. We went from being a startup to a scale-up. But what we really didn't do anything about was the processes we did internally. We just had the same kind of status meeting with a lot of people, like 20 people sitting in the same room, just looking at each other, not directing that energy in one common path, right? So we needed to do something, and we found that Shape Up was not the answer to all our prayers, because it's not, but we found that it was really simplistic, lightweight enough for us to just get started immediately with, right? So this is leading me to my lesson number 1 of introducing ShapeUp to Bulder. So I advise you to start small and build buy-in gradually. So when I talked with the rest of the leadership team in Bulder, I was really frustrated for not shipping anything, right? We were just not really producing that red segment feeling, not giving the users anything in return. And that talk was really pivotal for the rest of the organization. And then I needed to introduce the team and the team members to the ShapeUp methodology. And I didn't actually say that it was ShapeUp or anything like that, but Ryan, he has a really good metaphor in his book called grab bags, which is kind of when you rewrite or refactor the same thing over and over again. So we were already making the payment screen 6.0, right? A rewrite of the rewrite of the rewrite. And everybody on the team was like, hey, that's us. We're just doing redesigns and refactors of the code. And really saw that there was something in that grab bag metaphors. And then eventually we got more the senior designers on board, talking about some of the chapters that Ryan, he mentioned here, saying how can we implement some of these ideas into Bulder. And it really gave the team the feeling of them choosing ShapeUp or the process themselves, instead of me just coming and say, hey, we want to do ShapeUp and let's just do it now, right? I only had one problem, right? We've been doing this biometrics project for months and months with no really light at the end of the tunnel. And we still needed to finish that, right? Because we had already spent a lot of time doing it. So I decided to start shaping this biometrics project and using some of Ryan's techniques. And let's be fair, it went to crap. It went shit because there were so many things left behind from that project that we couldn't really live up to for the next shaping period. And I can just give you a really quick glimpse into what I wrote in that pitch or that shape that went out to the developers and UX designers, because it's a little bit embarrassing to say at least. What I did was, we want the possibility to become 100% independent of the biometrics in the app. The CTNO has discussed several areas that needs to change before we can remove biometrics from the app. I mean, could this shit get any more vague? Did you just see what Ryan, he put up there? And I'm delivering this to the developers and to the user experience guys. So this leads me beautifully to lesson number 2. Who is your ideal shapers and how do you identify them? So what happened before is what you shape when you shape just by yourself, right? You dream of things. I'm from the product perspective, so I just wanted to go away that biometrics project, right? To do something else more fun. So I sit by myself and do a lot of thinking and then just hand it over to the teams. Not a really good way about it, right? So to remedy that, the next shaping session that we had, I invited everybody on board, right? Because then it's everybody's responsibility if it sucks. And and that went to shit as well, because then it's too many opinions, too many things having dreams and vague ideas about this could be fun and maybe we can do this. We can, instead of having like concrete specific plans to go about, right? But we did find our way through this, and as Ryan also said, this kind of like the product trio, and we just added another one. So it's the product, it's the CPO, the CTO, the UX lead, and then also the backend lead, because in banking we're pretty backend heavy. And we found that formula of being those 4 kind of capacities in the room together, that meant us writing really good pitches. But it doesn't matter that when everybody shaped, it went to crap, because we learned something really important along that way as well. And we learned that everybody cares really deeply about what gets shaped and what we build. So what we created was a session from, we called Pitch Perfect, which is where everybody can come in, pitch their own ideas, and nobody is judging the ideas. It's just a raw, like unfiltered way of getting new ideas. And we put them in the suggestion box, if you could say it like that, and write them up so everybody can see them. And even though that many of these are just stupid ideas, never getting anywhere, it's a really good way to see each of the team members you have on your team, what ignites that spark in those eyes, because when they have 2 minutes to presenting what they really care about, that gives you a really good value as well. Frame early to set clear expectations. Ryan didn't touch that much upon the framing stuff, but just to really differentiate, the framing is what happens before, and shaping is what happens when you're actually trying to build the product like a specification, right? Framing is all those conversations with legal or compliance or the rest of the organization to figuring out where to frame and where to anchor these kind of decisions that we're doing. So in this framing, there is a lot of stuff going in that. And it could be feedback from users, it could be priorities from other companies or from other departments as well. And it's also a stakeholder management kind of thing. And remember that red segment I talked about earlier? We do use a lot of energy in Bulder trying to get that, that our customers is a part of the journey. And I really like Star Wars, so I consider ourselves a little bit of a band of rebel scum, both us and our customers as well, and all the customers fleeing from high interest rates in other banks. And that gives a kind of a unique feeling of traveling together, right? And we even post our battle map or the roadmap for other banks to see. We post it together with our customers so they can visit that and give us feedback upon that. So that framing is going on constantly, and I think we have over 50,000 feedback inputs that is constantly like setting the stage of what should we be framing, what should we be shaping now. Lesson number 4, internal and external team alignment. So we create these product teams for these 6-week cycles. Usually we have 2 or 3 product teams working at the same time, some technical, some more feature-based, some new product launches as well. And what we do is we sit down every Monday morning, and not every Monday morning, but when the cycle starts, we post something like this. Sorry for being Norwegian, I think it's fine. Maybe it's Danish, I don't know. But we post this on our general channel saying, this is cycle 8 starting, and this is what we're building, this is what the problems we're trying to solve, and we post that front and center for everybody to see. We also have really good retrospectives, and this is a result of a retrospective, so we usually tend to draw them up as posters and just putting them all around in the office so everybody can see what did we not do that great last time, and what can we learn from that from going forward. And then the 6-week cycles, we kind of divided that into a 1 by 4 by 1, because we saw some common pitfalls when we just gave teams 6 weeks to work on a thing or to solve a problem. And that was that one clever guy that just said, oh, let's just build it already, right? We talked about it so long, let's just build it. So we dedicated that first week for planning, and not planning in that meticulously, let's put Jira stuff in, but let the team kind of work together, right? Let them align with each other, give each other feedback, and make each other positive about the project. And then the next 4 weeks is more like of executing on it, creating scope maps and dropping scope maps as well. And then we also decided that the last week is about getting stuff to production, about polishing. So the sooner you can get it out to production, the better. And usually we put stuff into production every week, but then hit the go button always a little bit too late, right? So when we are inside that cool down period, so that's why the last week is dedicated for that. And really cool down period, we are not doing anything specific, product management or anything. It's just free time, 2 weeks. Developers, good UX designers know what to do. They squeeze bugs, find together common interest across the organization to explore new things or to change some of the stuff that didn't work from before. And this is one of the things that I really love most about the shape up, that time is fixed and scope is flexible. I don't know, you probably work under some kind of framework as well today, but I've seen so many times that, oh, we still have like 6 more story points to do, so we have to do them before we can get this product out. But when time is fixed and scope is flexible, it kind of hands the power back to the team. It makes them responsible for what comes out. They can change scope, they can drop some scopes if they want to. They just have to explain why that was important. And I think this is really one of the keys to why I think ShapeUp works really well. Then Friday meetings, all about alignment. We have 1 hour set up for the entire organization. And this is where the teams go through their progress. They show what they have made. They align with the bigger organization. And all the rest of the organization gets the possibility of asking questions to the teams, right? Really aligning on what are we coming out with, because without that internal support, I know that far too many projects fails because support doesn't understand it, or they don't really want to sell it in because this was just some project that the product teams made and it sucks and we don't want to sell it and stuff like that. And then after 6 weeks of work, we do a master demo. This is where we really show what we have been doing for those last 6 weeks. And we do that internally and also invite customers as well. 22nd of November, you're invited to Bergen. Not all of you, I think it's going to be a little bit too many, but we have some spots open if you're willing to join by. So what have we learned, right? We've learned that using basic techniques from ShapeUp is a really fast way to create that value for our customers, which is really important for us. We have now built a variety of over 20 features, both technical products and features, using ShapeUp as a methodology. So our lessons: start small, build buy-in so everybody feel like they're on board, identifying who should be shaping and who should not. Also, frame what you're about to shape early so everybody gets an understanding of what direction are we actually traveling, more like a strategic way. And then in the end, internal and external team alignment for what have been built and how did you go about it. So in Bulder, we chose this framework to be a little bit bold. And we did that because we want to be ahead of the game as long as we have our red customers with us as well. So my question is, are you bold enough to take the next step?